as the intro was going on. But essentially, the pressure is on me to hopefully deliver something that is valuable for each one of the 37 members that we have today. And I think more are joining.
Yeah. We expect at least around 50. That's what I think. So
Nice. Now,
minimum.
even
Is it others network or?
I think it's others.
Okay, then he'll join back. No problem.
Request everybody to be on mute, so that you know.
maybe
Okay.
my introduction was a bit bad. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. In case I get lost again, let us all blame it on Airtel, who have given me the connection. Uh, so I was talking about how this 45 minutes now should be able to give you all some context as to what are the things that you can do after this session, going back to your desks and think about driving some efficiencies. And that's, I think, is the biggest takeaway. If we can achieve that, I'll be a very happy person. This would be a series of conversation. Hopefully Jijo and Rajesh will like what I speak today and give me another opportunity, which means, again, the pressure is on me to really do something nice today. I will be sharing a presentation. I hope you all can see that. And then we will proceed. I have made some slides for all of us today. Let me know when you can see, please.
Yeah, we can see.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. So, how am I going to bore all of you today? I'm going to quickly talk about the experience that HubSpot, the company that I work for, or previous companies, the experience of having worked with many companies in India who wanted to grow big, go global. There were some of the challenges that all of them faced at various stages of that cycle. So I wanted to bring that up first. Maybe some of you who have attempted to do that will find some uh, similarities there, and do let me know in the Q&A conversations. We can talk more about it. I also want to talk to you about content being a strategy to establish your thought leadership and some pitfalls to avoid, classic pitfalls. And then I want to wrap it up with, if I were a business owner, how will I build my tech stack? What should be my thinking around building a stack which will make sure all the pieces of my business work synchronously together and also give a brilliant brand image, irrespective of where the customer is, where or who he or she is talking to you. That brand image should be same. How do you manage that? And then I want to give you 4 key areas of business as a homework for you to go and study about it. And I think that is where we could wrap. Um, do write your questions in the chat meanwhile, as and when you think of. But I wanted to quickly take a small prelude here and talk about how, at least I am 45. So good old days when I used to start my career, we used to see the ads really ruling the way a product can be introduced or a company can be introduced, right? It could be all this traditional media of uh, promoting your product. But if you notice, that was a broken playbook, because there were fake views from TV ads, emails none of us open. If you go to Gmail, how many of you go to promotions tab there and see the emails, right? None of us. They say close to 97 out of 100 people don't even respond, even if there is One second. Joe Kiran, can you go on mute? Yeah. Cool. And then you have people who are not asking you not to call them. So Seth Godin, one of the brilliant
ini
person I
pororane.
follow. Uh, can somebody mute Joe Kiran? Okay. So the biggest problem, he says, Seth says, with that is you are trying to fight for attention by interrupting them. You remember you get the calls when you're doing something, you get calls. Sir, do you want this? Do you want a credit card? It's basically an irritation and interruption to what you're doing. Instead, imagine a scenario where a potential prospect comes to you searching for you. That's the shift over. So that's the small shift. Instead of you going and disturbing and telling the people about yourself or your product, imagine a scenario how they read about you, they know about you, then they come to you. By the time they come to you, they are already aware of you. And that's how some of the brilliant companies in this last 5 years that I've seen growing across the globe, they have adopted this. And I want all of you to really benefit from this space. Many of you, I'm sure, are aware of this, but I just wanted to take you more deeper into that. In that model, you know that you are telling them about all the products, features, functionalities loudly on top of the voice. But now, when people have so much information in their hands, they can Google about you, they search about you. By the time a meeting is set with your salesperson, the potential prospect is almost aware of all the product, pricing, everything. They're much more ready. So we call it in Hubspot, we call it a good fit conversation among the whole world of addressable market. Let's say if that is a watermelon, you will have a lemon, which is your serviceable market. Now that is a good fit. That is what you should search for. That is where your energy should be, because these are the people who will buy and help your revenues to grow, and you can go global. Now, attracting attention is obviously better than and smarter than interrupting and getting their attention. Now, to do that, you have to first of all give something before people fall in love with your company. For example, I see some names here. I'm going to take some random names, okay? Don't mind. For example, Nidesh or Sujit, you are working for a company and nobody knows about your company outside, let's say, Kerala. How do you take a first step so that everybody from Delhi to Kanyakumari knows about your company? And then everybody from Boston to Cape Town to Dublin to London, how do they get to know? Without you having to do anything big or anything different. That's what it is. That's what we are going to talk about. Problem with some of our companies, especially in India, is the perception that the global market has about an Indian company is decent in many things, but if you notice there, the trust factor is the least, 2.5. And I don't know where Chinese are. Chinese are better than us, 2.61. So that's an enormous data point to keep in mind. Essentially, what we are trying to tell you is, if you can get your game where people can trust what you're telling them or what your product stands for, then you have a winner. That's what we are talking about. One more challenge is generally when we start a company, when we are 1 or 2 years old, budgets are tight. We as entrepreneurs, we need to be more efficient. We don't want to spend in technology tools. Somebody wearing a tie called Adarsh Noronha comes in and starts selling your product. You shouldn't go and buy that just because somebody's coming and telling you. Do your research. Think what you want to achieve in the next few quarters. What's your strategy for GTM for the next 2 years? And then accordingly, lean onto the technology, but do some basic research and try and see what's the optimum. And I'll advise you at the end of this call for all that. One more thing I've seen many companies struggle is best of the breed products they buy in and they just throw it to the functional heads. So sales guy wanted something, analytical team wanted something, HR had wanted something. So you buy the best, but the problem is they're not connected to each other. If they don't talk to each other, your company as a whole doesn't become one single running entity. It becomes a fragment of a different silos. So you want to avoid that. One more, and this is probably the last one that I have to highlight about the challenges that we have, is the amount of time spent by your respective teams doing something unnecessary. They don't have to do this. There are ways to improve and get that bandwidth back to business. If your salespeople, if you have 10 salespeople, 70% of the time is spent in data entry and connecting record from one to year. Marketing gave one record, they don't know where it is sitting, they don't know what the conversation. If they're spending 70% of their time because you're running on an Excel or disjointed paper pen, whatever it is, you you should, as a owner of a business, think about how can I fix that and drive efficiency. Imagine only 10% time is spent in data entry, 90% time is spent in front of customers. That's an efficiency that you can drive. If the money that you're putting in marketing is not visible, 60% of the money is not visible, then drive for an efficiency where you'd rather decrease the amount of money you're spending but have a better impact to the good fits, things like that. Okay, I'm keeping on moving on unless somebody stops me. I'm also conscious of the time. Because I'm a little passionate about all this subject, I can go on and on. So maybe Rajesh or Jijo, one of you can say stop and proceed. Now, thought leaders. You remember I showed you that trust, lack of trust for Indian companies across the globe. How do you instill the trust? The only way you can instill trust is when you become a thought leader. Now, what is thought leader? Thought leader is, let's say, Tesla. Tesla started electric cars. Initially, there was so much of resistance to that. There was lobby, etc. What did they do? They believed in their product. They knew the USP of it, and they kept at it. They didn't do anything. They knew their way of working. They became a thought leader in that particular industry. So tomorrow you could be just another, don't have to compare yourself to Tesla. Let's say you're a pipe manufacturer, or you are a software, some tool, you are having a IP of a tool. It could be any company. How better are you from the rest of your competition is important. Your thought leadership is nothing but in the ecosystem of yourself and your lookalikes. How do you become the best? The only way to do that is by content, which means you know your product well, you know what it does, you know how it solves a problem. When you know that, why are you keeping quiet? Tell the world. How do you tell the world? You tell the world using channels. You can tell it over social media, you can tell it over your website, you can engage with campaigns, you could do a whole lot of things. I'll talk about it later. But when you go with thought leadership and you're not pushing, for example, HubSpot, the company that I work for, we, if you go to Google and just press HubSpot, instead of finding what HubSpot does, HubSpot has talked about how to become a good sales guy, how to become a good marketeer, how to run a meeting, how to write a minutes of meeting. Irrelevant, right? We don't get any money out of it. But what are we doing? We are telling the world what's the best practice when it comes to sales, best practice when it comes to marketing, how best you can run a company. Because we are a company which is growing tremendously fast. We were the world's number one company to work for last year. We're beating Apple and Microsofts of the world and Googles of the world. How does that happen? Because you know that your product, your whatever IP is the best and it is solving something. Go tell the world. What happens? The world will read about it without you calling and interrupting them. When they read about it, they get more enthusiastic about it. And when they get more enthusiastic, they'll visit you. Where? On your Twitter page or your LinkedIn page or your website or somewhere. When they visit you, make sure all those places give them enough information, enough blogs, enough case studies, enough examples, etc. etc. When you have that, people will read more, then engage with you. Now, we'll talk about that in a while. So this is what I was saying. You could send out thought leadership content through blogs, infographics, videos, small videos, presentations, align with a lot of groups, etc. There are lots of ways to do that. But the idea is not to sell at the first time. Idea is to tell the world who you are, what you do, what's your product, what problem it's solving, and why somebody should be interested. Now remember that watermelon and melon story. If somebody who's not into your business reads that, he or she will forget it. Doesn't matter, because end of the day that person wouldn't have even given you any revenue. However, if somebody from that lemon addressable market reads about something, let's say you're an automation company, you make robots. Somebody who's into a lab who needed robots will read about it with more interest than, let's say, a sports person wanting a shoe. Simple. Now that person, the lab guy, when he reads about your product and your specifications, etc., he'll become more interested. He'll read more. That is when you engage and then make that stranger a prospect. So till that time, that lab guy was a stranger to you, somewhere sitting in New Jersey. You have no idea who's reading it. But the moment they click something, there are systems today to tell you, Jijo from New Jersey clicked on your blog. Suddenly you get that contact. And then when they're interested, you bring them onto your workflows. I'll talk about that later in the second session. I want to jump into the 4 pitfalls that we see regularly happening, right? Number one, I mentioned about it. Without thinking, adding best of the things that you get. Just because your competitor has, somebody in the group told you, you attended a seminar like this, for example, just don't buy everything. Ensure you buy something with a reasonable structure to your tech stack. Buying tools without checking with other teams. For example, your sales head will come, sir, I need a CRM. Your marketing person will come, sir, I need one marketing email campaign tool. R&D will come with something. HR will come and say, sir, we need workday type of solution. As a owner, you want to please them, you want to drive efficiencies, but do not try driving efficiencies silo wise. Don't drive it through LOB wise. Drive it as an organization, because synergies are better. Tell you when synergies in flywheel. This is unbelievable. There are a lot of companies whom I talk to, especially the CEOs that I speak to. One of the questions I ask them is, what's the health of the business for the last 3 days? They take 2 days to get him a report. In that 2 days, there will be half of them in draft stage, half of them wrong. He has to send it back. 3 versions will come. By the time he prepares for the board meeting, it is a 15 days of work with the analytics team. Why that? World has improved. You should have the health of your business on your fingertips, right there at any moment. It's like looking at your share price, right? You should know what is happening with your business all the time. Who's selling where, which region is doing well, where is the money gone from marketing, how many leads have come in, how many wait pipeline of sales is happening, what's the forecast, which region, which dealer, etc., etc. Should be on top of your mind. Make sure there is no leakage of data. Last one, not having a single source of truth. I think all of us, while growing up, our grannies have told this story, right? All the blind people were asked to touch one part of the elephant and to describe an elephant. From a sales guy's point of view, the business looks different. From an HR head, it looks different. From a CEO, it looks different. From somebody in operations and analytics, it looks different. But the job is to ensure overall business is something that all the people understand. And hence, it is more imperative that you have your tech stack which works for the company and not for the silos. Now, this is what I want to talk about. How do you? So I've been telling you, don't do this, don't do this. The question is, then what do we do, right? This is what you do. When it comes to managing customers, when it comes to getting people, strangers to know about you, when it comes to converting strangers into prospects, customers, customer, etc. So all of that, the fundamental thing is a database that you need. CRM becomes that database. There are many CRMs in the world. There are at least 10 in India itself. Have a CRM, core of your business. Once you have that, start working on how will you go global for your thought leadership, which I was talking about. You have to improve your website. You have to improve your marketing automation. You have to improve how you send out the information, how you write your content, how you present yourself to the globe. That is important. So put that. So you have a CRM, which is a bucket which holds all data of all your customers, prospects, your processes, etc. Have the marketing piece so that it helps you funnel. So a lot of in our childhood we have played this. No, I don't know what you call that. It's a top fill. So you send it with the thread. The funnel revolves around. So when you have CRM and marketing will drive more leads. The force you give by investing in marketing automation generates more conversations in the world. Next, you put a sales automation. What do I mean by that? Let's say 10,000 people read about your blog in 1 month. But do you have sales guys to talk to 10,000 people? No. And should you talk to 10,000 people? No. You need to have probably two salespeople. How? Because those 10,000 people, the good fit may be only 1,000. But we don't know who's good fit, who is bad fit. So what you do is you build a automation piece. So in that automation piece, let's say in that 10,000 people, the workflow will take over and say, Adarsh, you read about this blog. Are you interested to see a video? Yes, no. It's a workflow. Like that, you filter the 10,000 to 1,000 people who have said, yes, I want to see a video. I want to talk to your sales guys, etc. These are good fits. Now your team of 5, 10 people can talk to 1,000 good leads. That's how you progress forward. Then once you have that, your sales guys will convert. Then you ensure you have a mechanism to serve these customers happily, because end of the day customer is not an output. Remember when we were doing, most of us in MBA, we were taught that funnel, no, top of the funnel, lot of leads, then goes in drills, second stage, third stage, final output is customer. That is what we were taught in MBA. That world is gone. That funnel is broken. Now it is a flywheel. Your customers bring more customers. For HubSpot, 40% of my revenue today in India comes from my existing customers telling their friends to buy HubSpot. I don't invest in marketing as much as I invest in my customers, because a delighted customer will bring you 10x of his business worth. So, how technology you can use to ensure your customers are always happy? Keep your customers for life, because each customer will give you 10x of returns, and that's been seen. So this is how your tech stack should look at. You build a CRM, take your time, build a marketing piece, get some leads happening, get some thought leadership happening, let people start writing to you, let the workflow manage, then let your sales guys talk to good fit, and when you convert them, let the sales service guys take over, so that they keep the customers happy forever. This is the true sense of how a flywheel should look like in your business. And this is directly proportional to inbound methodology. What is inbound methodology? Remember when I started the meeting, I said, you going and interrupting something versus people reading about you, knowing about you, and coming to your business is much more valuable. Some of the numbers for you: 57% of the business to business B2B purchases are done before your sales guys even talk to the customers. It's been already recommended internally through their research that they will buy you. They're just sitting with your sales guy to fix up the terms. That is the power of inbound. 81% of the buyers trust their families and friends more than the company's business advice. What does that mean? You can do any number of advertisements, but the moment your friend, your professional friend or your mentor tells you, listen, Sujit, this is the best product to buy, that's it. You leave your resource and just buy because somebody has told you. That's the power of word of mouth. So as a thought leader, you need to ensure everybody who's interacting you should have a positive word of mouth, because this is the future. No matter what you say, 8 out of 10 people will buy because somebody has recommended it positively. Similarly, word of mouth can be negative. So be very careful that none of your companies conversations that happen with customers across departments should be negative. Never. You should ensure the brand image is uniform across the interactions, right? Why do you need to look at inbound? One, to grow better. How do you do that? By thought leadership and having a sales team. It's an hybrid model. And always believing in your tech stack. This is what I want to leave you with. I don't know what is the time now. It's almost 4. So I want to summarize. So I'll send out some links via Rajesh later in a follow-up email. But I want you to read this piece. This is the classic cradle to grave story. If you are if you're driving efficiencies in all of these pieces, you have got a winner in your company. To manage customer relationships from the point of strangers reading something about you in a website, not your website, maybe some other website, from there to convert them to come and sit and talk to you, and then engagement, that quality engagement, then driving sales, and then engaging, making your customers become promoters. That's the cradle to life, cradle to grave life cycle. CRM, I told you, first thing to start, that particular CRM should do all this. I won't go detail into it, but I leave you with a link where you can study more about it. In the next series, we'll talk more about this. I told you about CRM being the first piece. Then came the marketing, remember? That marketing piece should have all this, where it has the power to convert stranger to prospect, convert more leads, do SEOs, do blogs, do social media, manage the content, have bots, and then have a brilliant attribution. After marketing came in, sales. The sales pitch should do all this, where it deepens the relationship with the engagement that you have with your customers. Your bosses should know your pipeline very nicely so that they can make decisions. And the last piece was the service piece. And every service tool should have these things. These are the mandatory things you should have. So CRM, marketing, sales, and service. These are the 4 things. And I encourage you, I'll send you some links to study. That's my lecture. Sorry, did I overshoot the time? 4-2. Rajesh, all okay?
No, 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 all okay. It was almost an hour webinar, but it's fine. We can talk about the
Yep, I
uh,
can go in detail. If there are any questions, we can pick it up and go into
yes,
it.
yes. I think maybe we can use the time for the Q&A, and anybody wants to talk about it, it's the best chance to get this stuff from Adarsh. So maybe we can go for another 15-20 minutes, Adarsh.
Yes, sure thing.
Okay,
Now,
so
if I have that much of time, can I
uh-huh.
go back and go in a bit of detail with the 4 things that I mentioned?
Okay,
Because
please.
this is pretty important for any business. I was conscious of the time, so I kind of jumped out of that. So this is where I started a cradle to grave story. Now, these 4 teams, the team that gets you business, the team that attracts strangers, second team that engages with these people and talks and does sales, third team is the team that ensures whoever has come inside your family are happy. These are the 3. There is no doubt about it. If you have a problem between marketing and sales, most of you, if you're in sales or marketing experience, you'll know there is always one thin wall between marketing and sales. Mismatched. You remember that? And then there is another wall between sales and service pieces. Service team complaining, wrong customers coming on board, or sales giving false promises, etc. So there is a wall between these 3 teams, which is the most detrimental factor to lose out on efficiencies. Hence, if you are a owner of a business, remember this: the three major teams that are engaged with your customers who are paying you money are your people who bring them on first time, second team which engages with them, gets their money, gives you a product, the third team which onboards them, delivers the project, and keeps them happy. These three teams should be in one single platform. You should know which was the first touch point that your company had with this customer. Service should also see what happened between the sales conversations between your sales team and that particular customer before he came on board. Similarly, marketing on the other side should know, I got 100 leads last month. What happened to 100 leads? Did sales talk to them nicely? Was there a reach out done? Was there an efficient reach out done? What happened to the queries? Where is the weighted pipeline? How much is forecasted? What's the closure dollar? Marketing's KPIs are linked to sales. Sales output is linked to how much of the funnel marketing gets. Sales is also linked to churn. Services KPIs is churn rate. Out of 10 customers who came in, do I have all 10 for the last 2 years? Hence, these three teams should be on a single platform so that there is no friction. Sales guys can tell the marketing team, listen, for next 3 months, let's go after EMEA. All the B2B companies in automotive sector in the UK, Ireland, and the rest of the Europe, that's our focus. Marketing takes that project, runs a project, email campaigner, call campaigners, or maybe some of the blog drops, etc. That is monitored by sales and marketing together. Leads coming from them, sales is ready with their pitch, and marketing is aware, this much money I spent here, how much did we do? So that next 6 months later, when sales guys again come to marketing and say, now let's do Africa, then you have the learning. So you drive from that learning a better and more efficient campaign. You want to go to America next time, you know what is to be done brilliantly to increase the return on investment on every single rupee you put. So that's what is it. CRM, it's based on the way CRM is for life. If you look at HubSpot, you don't have to pay me 1 rupee. For unlimited users, for the rest of your life, it's free of cost. What it has is three major things. One, every contact is a person. You can store details of that person. The person is always working for some company. So company records, contact records, company records. Now, when you interact with that person, you're selling, there is a transaction happening, there is money involved, and product is being sold. That is nothing but a deal. So you have a contact, a company, and a deal. Sorry, I'm just checking in the chat if somebody's saying they can't hear me. All right. Okay. One of the CRMs I can name you free of cost is HubSpot. But there is Zoho, there is Fresh, there is Salesforce, there is so many of them. There is Dynamics, there is Oracle. You just go to Google, you will find 25 CRMs. But the only CRM which is actually free for life is HubSpot. So you can start using it. It's unlimited. Uh, Sorry, I'm not trying to sell HubSpot because it's free. You can't sell something which is free. Um, the other piece that CRM can do is your analytics piece. So it can tell how much of contacts. You can also have a little bit of chat facilities. You can have your Google email, Gmail linked to that CRM so that every time you send an email, your customer, when they click that email, you get a notification saying, Jijo opened the email. When I've sent an email with some offer there and somebody's clicked it, this is a good time to call and tell them, hey, do you want to talk about it? Isn't it? So you can get all that. So this is free. Marketing is not free, by the way, but marketing is something that will involve you anything, all activities basically, all activities that help you. My apologies. Let me go back. All activities that involve your marketing team trying to get your company's name, its product, its services across the globe. Now, obviously, we can't go and put advertisements in the TV across America. But if you know the persona, so what is a persona? For example, if you're in a company which is into hospitality, you know who are the kind of people who buy your product or a service. So you can define approximately, if some company looks like this, then it is my 100% good fit. That is a persona. So you define a good fit persona. Then second step you do is find out where they are. For example, if you're a real estate company and your intended audience or persona is high net worth individuals, your job is to find out where can you find these high net worth individuals to ensure you are sending that particular digital content to them. Obviously, they won't be in Facebook. They won't be doing LinkedIn chats. They won't be in Instagram because they're not young. But they are probably found in some groups, in consortiums. Maybe that is what you need to advertise into. So understanding who you are selling to, who your buyer persona is very crucial for your business. Once you know where the buyer persona is, then it's very, very easy for sending this content to them. Remember the watermelon and the lemon? You found out where the lemon is, you go and approach that lemon. Sales. Sales is, uh, I know it's probably the most difficult thing to get live, but that is because sales guys are lazy. And I've been a sales guy 20 years plus. We are lazy. We don't like to put in data. However, the best product of sales automation is a product that will become a friend of a sales guy. For example, if I were to give a forecast update to my chairman tomorrow morning, imagine the stress I go through. But if I have a sales automation tool which prepares a chart instantly for me on all my deals, my pipeline, my trending, other charts, how beautiful it is. Then as a sales guy, I fall in love with that tool. So ensure you have a sales tool which becomes like a buddy with your sales rep. That is the best thing you can do. Imagine a tool where you don't have to get out of that app at all. It's like, as a sales guy, you go in 9 o'clock in the morning to that app, you call people from the app, you record the conversation, you do the Zoom meetings in that, you do everything, your task, your activity, your calendar, your email, everything, chatting, everything is done that. Imagine how beautiful it is. Why will a sales guy not like it? So ensure you have a sales automation tool which all does all these things. And lastly, the service piece. Like I said, turning customers to promoters is very crucial. And to do that, you should ensure you you understand what they want, you give fast response to their tickets, you solve their problems, you track their feedback, you proactively ask for suggestions, and ensure you note everything that is coming your way from customers to improve, so that they are happy, you're happy, they bring their friends and network, so your revenues will go up. So I wish you all the best, all of you. And hopefully I'll be around to answer some questions now, but I'm also available at this email address. You can make a note of that, and I'll be very, very happy to answer anything. And if you want to have a chat with me, I'll give you my mobile number later, so you could do that. Rajesh, back to you. Let me
Yeah, that's good. So I think we can take this time for any Q&As. If anybody you have any questions, you can actually put it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and you can ask others. Please feel free to do that.
Yeah, Rajesh, Vishnu here. Adarsh, I have a question for you. So, what do you think is good for scaling up? So, finding customers and pitching them, or driving customers towards the company and generate leads? So, what do you feel would be better?
It depends on where you are in your life cycle. If you're a brand new company, and if you're a recent entrepreneur, and you are having a very small lean team, but If you have a product or an idea or a solution or a service that's fantabulous, then go 100% digital. There
Okay.
is no substitute to that. It is very cost effective. The impact is high. The reach is tremendous, and you will be able to scale globally faster. However, if you are a very old company who's not innovating anything, but you have a steady market, now you want to enter into some other, then an hybrid approach of not just thought leadership of your product, but also use cases, because you've been selling. So
Mhm.
do some customer use cases. Let the customers sell it for you, because people who don't know about you will not believe you. Trust is very less. No matter how beautiful your company is, it must be your baby. You will be
Okay.
happy about it. But a stranger who knows nothing about you will not care anything. However, the stranger will always read about a real use case where somebody has used your product, benefited from it, that will click a bulb in them.
Okay.
Hence, the hybrid approach there will be useful. That's my a bit of experience.
Yeah. Thank you. Got it, Adarsh. So I have another question.
Sure.
When scalability into different business flow, right? So is there an automation mechanism that can be used?
Correct. Excellent question. Whoever has asked that for Vishnu. Um, so remember, I said an example of, let's say, 10,000 people open up your blogs and your website.
Okay.
Now, 10,000 people are not your customers. And you have, let's say, two people who are into sales. If you ask these two people to call those 10,000 people in all across the globe, one, your telephone will be very high. They will quit the job in 15 days,
Oh, okay.
because the number of conversion is very less. What you should ideally do is to have a solution which is basically into which has built-in workflows. Now, what does a workflow do? Let's say 10,000 people have opened up your blog. What That is the first step. Second step is somebody has to reach out to them. Depending on which blog, which topic they've read, you should go after 3 days. An email should go to them and say, listen, Dave, you have read about this blog 3 days ago. Did you like it? If you liked it, you might like this. That's an email that should go. Now you can
Okay.
automate this. And after he reads that, he or she, after 3 days, you should say, you read about these two. Here is a video. Why don't you have a look into it? It will help you to get more information on the same thing. Then the person will jump into the third stage. When you know 1, 2, 3 is engaging, he is more into the lemon, which is a good fit. If the first guy who's read a blog, second thing he doesn't read, you send another reminder, doesn't read, that means they were not interested. So that's how workflows help, and workflow is very, very important to scale in a linear organization.
Okay. Okay. So others, there
And
is another question from Saji Joseph, Faith Infotech.
yeah,
So he's asking like, how would you approach a B2B, B2C, and B2G differently?
excellent question. And whatever I spoke to you is more relevant to B2B. On a B2C, there are various tactics. But let's say, simple example, right? For example, I was talking about Airtel in the beginning of this conversation. Airtel can never be able to have database of all the subscribers in India or globe. They will have the data, but they can't mine that for benefits. But let's say your company is supplying material to Maruti Suzuki. You are manufacturing the let's say the plastic fiber things for the Maruti cars, and you are sending it to Maruti. Maruti will have like that 2,000 people across India, but Maruti can have a very good CRM to manage these 2,000 people, where you are one of them for them. That is easy in B2B. There, they know their personas, you know their personas, and you can have interactions. You can send phones or whatever campaigns, etc. Blah blah blah. But in a B2C scenario, your strategies are mass market. So when you are into mass market, there are different technologies, or rather techniques, to use to attract customers. You do various promo campaigns, but that uses channels which are spread across. Now, when it comes to B2G, it's an all different game together. Selling to government, I'm not an expert, but I know it needs all this technology plus the relevant people, because you have to do the legwork there. You need to have the connects there. You need to map the people. You need to map secretaries, their departments, the programs, the launches, and then you have to bid for that. So it's a completely different ball game. By sending blogs, you won't get government projects. Don't tell others told us thought leadership, we write blogs and we'll get business. You won't get government projects, but you will increase the awareness for sure. So it's a different way to approach B2C, B2B, and B2G. I'm sure, if you Google in, HubSpot has given a complete B2C and a B2B guide. Search for that. There are many guides, anyways. B2G, I don't know. I am not an expert in that. So also, I don't want to comment at this stage. Modi ji might be listening now. Any other
Others,
questions in
others
the chat?
coming from
Yes, please.
HubSpot itself, we have not. This is Gija. Coming from HubSpot itself, we have not done any selling of HubSpot. In this, are you looking at a inbound kind of business model where you think that all of us are going to
100%.
straight away, and
100%.
looking at we just answered B2B, B2C. Uh, from a HubSpot point of view, what is this software best suited for?
I think it's best suited for B2B. Next is B2C. Definitely not for B2G. B2B, because you can identify who's your typical buyer. For example, if you've been selling to automotive companies in India, it's easy for you to replicate that in US, Europe, or Africa's, right? Or LATAM. You can go after Southeast Asia market, but you can define a very strong buyer persona. Once you define the buyer persona, then targeting them with thought leadership content is easy. Hence, it's beautiful for B2B companies. For B2C, the CRM piece is brilliant to manage the data, the service piece, all that is okay. Marketing, you'll have to do a bit of hybrid, which is you'll have to go sometimes traditional way of announcing also, including newspapers.
Mhm. Okay, thanks. I think maybe we'll have a follow-up session where you talk more about HubSpot also. So
Maybe if not HubSpot,
yeah,
the last four things that I mentioned there, right? I
yes.
want to show all of you how in the real world the technology works. So what
Mhm.
I'm thinking is we use HubSpot internally as well for our marketing, sales, service, everything. So I'll try and get somebody who can show you how it works and how easy it is, so that you get a fair idea, all of you.
Mhm.
And it's not just in PPT or it's just theory that others came and said. You should see how it works, how marketing gets a stranger here, how workflow sends emails and gets them on board, how a sales guy gets that and sees the entire history, how sales guy converts them to a customer, and service guy sees the entire history. So those things I'll try and show. It'll be nice.
Got it. Mhm. Thanks. Mhm. Yeah.
Others, there are some queries there. Maybe we
I
can
will,
just.
yeah, I will read them. Uh, I will start with Abhilash. A lot of companies here are smaller companies, and content marketing is extremely expensive. For us to generate enough traffic, you need to hundreds of articles across these. What is the cost effective manage and prioritize the right content and the right medium? Excellent question, Abhilash. And you will be surprised. 80% of my customers in India are below 25 employees. So if you're referring to a smaller company with below 25 employees, you need a tool which has the ability to guide you. You should have one or two people, nothing more than that. It will guide you how to write something, how to create a blog, how to optimize your website, and what are the best channels to put that. It has a pre-built integration to all the marketing channels. Some are expensive. If you want to go Facebook, Google AdWords, or LinkedIn's, they charge you per lead. That is very expensive. But the organic way of doing it is HubSpot, for example, understands the Google's algorithm of stacking your rating higher based on a topic, not based on words. Now, this nobody understands. But when you're in HubSpot, it guides you, write this line, this topic. And then it allows you to put to where your buyer personas will read. So don't just blast it everywhere. Find out where your buyer personas will be found digitally. Only there you have to do that. In the interest of time, I'll rush in. Do you have any suggestions for qualifying the customers? Does the tools help for that in any ways? Yes. Bad fit to good fit I spoke about, right? Workflow takes over all the conversations with the bad fit. Your sales guys are only given filtered high quality leads. That is the beauty of a workflow. That is why you should have technology. Otherwise you can have 100 people in a call center calling it to those 10,000 leads. Okay. What content to use for targeting customers in awareness stage? Brilliant question. In that stage of awareness, it is always important to give a content that talks about solving the problem that is everywhere. How your product solves is the next stage, but the first content is you knowing the market, you understanding the problem, and you solving it. In a financial world, you see a lot of these blogs. Personal finance, right? Go and check out some of the blogs of these banks. They don't sell you anything, but they talk about what's the best way to earn compound interest. Why should you invest in mutual funds, etc., etc. These are blogs which are just awareness stage. But because you wrote that, they will link you to be a thought leader. Then they'll come to you. Band framework could help if you are not already using LEAH. I don't know, Abhilash, what that is, but BANT, yes, you will qualify leads based on certain metrics, which is including your budgets, authority, needs, and the timings. Yes, that is built into the algorithm. Please suggest some major customer retention strategies for the SaaS product. The target market is small and medium. Customer retention strategies are multifold. Now, I will keep it very generic for the sake of time, but Shinu Sivadasan, reach out to me if you want a conversation later on that. I'll be very happy. But retention strategies are multifold. One, clarity and transparency when they come on board, awareness of the terms, KPIs, and the deliverables, having a project plan when they come on board to onboard. Once the onboarding is done, the service SLAs, and ensuring over communication with the customer. These are the strategies that avoid a last minute surprise or a shock from your customer journey. Uh, okay, Vinod said thank you. Thanks for the passion. Adarsh, if we are, hold on, Nidesh, if we are doing a marketing campaign for brand awareness, how we can measure the effectiveness and your thoughts on affiliate marketing? Now, on the brand awareness stage, there are various ways to measure, but it is not overnight. When you adopt an organic way of growing, you are investing in the belief that inbound methodology will work for you. Now, HubSpot, for example, I'll give you an example of my company so that I have the numbers to back up. 13 years ago, we started. We wrote a blog in 2003, which is earning 20% of our revenue even today. People who read that blog convert into HubSpot buying, and our revenues are 20% from that blog. Now, for me to measure the brand awareness, if I had written a blog then in 2013 and I had asked for brand awareness a month later, I wouldn't have been able to gauge. But give it 3 to 6 months. And this is an average I've seen in companies in India who invest into inbound methodology. In an average, 3 is still less, 6 months minimum, 12 years is, sorry, 12 months is the best time frame. You will notice, because your optimized website, your marketing efficiencies, your outreach on good fits, you will notice a positive trend. The hockey stick will definitely come. And we have seen it ourselves. And there are about 800 customers today in India since last 1 year that have come on board. And I'm seeing success for 99%. There are some people who miss it because they don't believe it midterm. Because it's a slow process. It's not like you give to LinkedIn, I'll give you 1 lakh rupees, give me 10 leads. That's easy. How long can you keep this 1 lakh? Instead, you put this 1 lakh, forever you're set for inbound. And it's just bonus. Uh, how to make existing customers spread word of mouth? Sujit, go beat them up if they don't. But honestly, the best way to do that is over communication, and engagement after selling. 8 out of 10 people after selling don't go to the customers. They're done. It's an hit and run business mentality we have. You change that in your company, Sujit. You tell everybody who's involved that every time a customer comes, your job is to keep the customer for life. When you think like that, you will take feedback, you'll take their surveys, you'll ensure they're happy, you solve the tickets faster. And when you do all that, your sales guys who are smart guys will go to them and say, sir, it's been a long relationship. How about you introducing me to 3 more people? That's how it spreads. Even if they don't ask, you will see that happening. Okay, those are the questions, and we are almost close to 4:30. We should
So
let people go.
yeah, so I think Rajesh and Jijo, we can wind up the session. So Rajesh, over to you. Rajesh, you're
You're
on
on
mute.
mute, Rajesh.
Rajesh, you're on mute.
Okay, we will all assume that Rajesh said thank you very much to all of the participants.
Yes,
And
I think Rajesh still on mute, no?
yeah,
Okay,
so
so
I
Jijo, I
think,
think you can carry on. Jijo,
Jijo,
you
Yeah,
can.
others were fantastic. We are all had a great time actually. I mean,
oh, thank you.
learned a lot and great session, and especially for sales. Like I said, it's a harder subject. Like I mean, computer science or technology is much easier actually. But this is what the core of business is. So thanks for your time, and we look forward to hearing more from you. And let's expand more on some of the things what we talked about. Again, great. Thanks a lot, and looking
Thank you.
forward. Others. Yeah,
Pleasure was all mine. You all of you take care. Be safe. Bye.
sure. Yeah, please share your the slides actually when you get time. I think. Thank you.